You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Cricket World Cup 2023 previews. On this episode, or in this segment, we will be talking about Afghanistan, the team with Rashid Khan and Mujib, Nur Ahmed, Fazlak Farooqi, Naveen ul Haq.
Oh
and
shit, they're going to
some
win the whole thing.
batters. And some batters. Yeah, some batters. I don't know where they found them, but we will get into that. Before we do, what do you think? What does everyone think when you say the word Afghanistan? That's right, they think Manscaped. And with us, with the Cricket Podcast, we can sort you out with 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code CricketPod. Head to the show notes where you can also find links to our socials, to our Patreon, to a place where you can buy coffee. But for this section, I don't think this is how adverts are supposed to work, by the way. Yeah.
Name all the other things that you could do as well as buy the thing we're advertising.
Exactly. For this episode, we're plugging Manscaped. They're good friends. They sorted us out with some kit, the lawnmower, the beard hedger, and many accessories. Too many to name, really. Lots of oils and balms. And you can get them too with the code CricketPod. 20% off plus free shipping. Max, anything that you would like to say about our friends at Manscaped?
Yes. Firstly, just to corroborate that the products are excellent, and I enjoy using them immensely. But also, if you're going to be at the World Cup, then you need to sort yourself out, don't you? You need to shave in case you're going to be on TV, so that you've got a nice, well manicured facial fuzz going on. But also, if you're one of those people who has a few drinks and then likes to run onto the pitch naked, you also want to make sure that you're sorted out downstairs for when the camera doesn't pan to you, but everyone else can see you. So I'm not saying you should do these things because they're very bad. But if you are going to do them and you're that kind of person, at least go and get some stuff from Manscaped to make yourself look good while you do it.
Well, let's talk Afghanistan then, Max. They are captained by Hashmatullah Shahidi. He's a left-handed batter. The nation's first Test match double centurion. So pretty decent player, albeit that his record in ODIs isn't quite as good. But that's a decent thing to hang your hat on. I wanted to know a little bit more about some of these Afghan players. So I actually really tried to find out, find some quotes or a little bio or something like that. Very difficult to do for a lot of these players if they're not called Rashid Khan, basically. Based on his Instagram, looks like he really enjoys hiking in the mountains around Kabul. So
sounds like a good
or he really likes quite good Instagram shots, and the hiking is part of the the getting the snap. I'm not sure. You be the judge of that. They're also coached by Lance Klusner. Pretty big time Lance, World Cup royalty there. Road to the World Cup. Well, this is a little bit complicated. So they were part of the ODI Super League, which the now defunct ODI Super League, which sort of was the qualifying tournament for most of the teams at this World Cup. I think 8 of the 10 reached the tournament that way. Now, depending on whether you look at the ICC or Cricinfo, they finished 5th or 7th in this tournament. Doesn't really matter. It was good enough for automatic qualification. It was a reasonable qualification campaign. A lot of that was, I think, built on the back of smacking some of the weaker teams. So they picked up 6 wins overall against the Netherlands and Ireland, 2 more v Bangladesh and 1 v Sri Lanka. Didn't beat anybody else. But job done as far as they're concerned. I would say they're at the big dance. I'd also like to tell you a little bit more about their kit, but they haven't released it yet, which is a shame. At the Asia Cup, which might be a clue, it was quite fetching actually. It was like light blue with some triangle wave effects across the chest. Looked very modern. So I was a fan overall of that. Potential 11. Now, this again is a little bit tricky because some of the players who were in the Asia Cup 11, not only are they not in the 11, they're actually not in the squad anymore, which is quite an Afghan move, I think.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem to be as
Asia Cup
controversial.
didn't go that well, did it?
No, yeah.
So
it doesn't seem to be as controversial as the last World Cup, where they actually came. It was like not their first World Cup, but they had 9 chances to play big boy teams. It was really when people were properly taking notice of them, and they sort of screwed up the selection. They changed the captain, I think, at the last minute, and didn't pick some guys and picked other guys as kind of a thank you for their service rather than necessarily because they were the most talented players at the time. They haven't done that this time. It makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to run through who I think will play. Gurbaz, we've all heard of him. Opening with Ibrahim Sadran, Ramat Shah, Hashmatullah Shahidi, the captain, Najbullah Zadran. So there's 2 Zadrans in the top 5, I think. I suspect Mohammed Nabi will bat 6, but I don't know that. And Asmatullah Omarzai is the person I think will bat 7. I'm most unsure of those 2, particularly in terms of where they'll bat in the order. Pretty sure Rashid Khan will be their 8, which leaves Mujib, Naveen ul Haq, and Fazalak Faruqi, I think, as the guys to fill out the squad. Obviously, didn't mention Noor Ahmed there, and Abdul Rahman could come in as well with Omarzai. Maybe the one to come out, move Rashid Khan up. There's some options there. What do you reckon of that 11, Max? Are you you said you didn't know that much about Netherlands cricket. How comfortable are you with Afghanistan?
I probably know more about the Netherlands than Afghanistan just because there's more that you can Google. But that doesn't sound unreasonable to me from what we've seen of Afghanistan recently. I think Mohammed Nabi somehow is still around and still playing and still actually performing, which is possibly the bit about that surprises me the most. I think that seems entirely reasonable to me. It'd be nice if they could get Noor Ahmed in because he was really exciting in the IPL this year. But good luck getting 4 spinners in.
Yeah,
when they can't.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, Rashid can't come back, can't he? Right, so
I meant Majib and Noor Ahmed.
Yeah, fair. I think that's a fair point. Let's talk strengths and weaknesses, and you can pretty much draw a line through the middle of this team. So weaknesses, strengths. The bowling is actually good. Fazalak Faruqi takes wickets in the first 10. Rashid Khan and Nabi take wickets in the middle, and Majib is pretty economical. They often backload Rashid Khan, so expect to see that through the tournament. If you don't know what backloading is, that means he will bowl later in the last 10 at the death, which obviously gives them a lot of bite. He sort of plays. I mean, like, it sounds weird having a spinner bowl in the last 10 because the death overs in ODI cricket are long, aren't they? They're 10 overs. I don't know if maybe it doesn't sound weird. It sounds weird. Maybe it doesn't sound weird, but
it sounds weird because no one really does it, do they? They always bring back their pieces at that point. So it's against convention.
But if you look at what Rashid Khan does in T20 cricket and literally just transfer that over, it's not a dissimilar role. Often in T20s, he doesn't bowl until the 9th, even the 11th over in some matches. So I think you can expect him to bowl a lot of their last 10. I think he's their most used bowler in the last 10. I'll stop talking about him now, but he's the guy, isn't he?
You might as well use your best bowler when it matters.
Yeah. And then they've got a little bit of a wild card, I think, in Naveen. So Naveen threw his toys out the pram or was thrown out the pram. Again, don't really know. Hasn't played an ODI for Afghanistan since 2021. Didn't go to the Asia Cup. However, he has been recalled, and I think he adds something. I think Nav and Fazalak Faruqi is 20 probably pretty decent overs of seam bowling. They're going to rely on the spinners. We know that. That's Afghanistan. Fortunately for them, the spinners are really good. I think there's a lot of strength there. If you look at the batting, it's kind of just a bit bad all round, is what I would say. So they lose quite a lot of wickets up top, which means that
strong start
in the middle overs, they often seem to be rebuilding. Now they actually average pretty well in the middle overs. The 2 openers, if they last the full 10, have both got very healthy averages. The runs don't necessarily come quickly, but they're very competent run getters. And I actually, Ibrahim Sadran, the 21-year-old, has been averaging over 50 in the last 2 years in ODI. So I think there's definitely a bit of hope there. But then it gets to the end and it all sort of falls in a heap. Rashid Khan is there, but it's probably quite a lot of weight on his shoulders to be the finisher. And I don't think there's another. I like to call them tempo batters, middle over cruisers. Some people call them. I don't think there's anyone really in that middle order that pulls that off that well. They'll need a lot from the captain. Basically, what I'm saying, Max, is that the batting all round is kind of a weakness. So I don't know. I mean, like I think if you're asking me how good of this team are, I would say probably not very good. But I would say that they're better than I thought they were before I started doing the research over the weekend. I had them down as potentially only beating the Netherlands. I think they're going to be better than that. I think their bowling is better than in 2019 as a piece. I think the addition of those seamers really makes a difference. The spinners we know, and I think there is the potential that they can build some partnerships, and we've seen them sort of nearly do that against Pakistan recently, where the two that I mentioned did score some runs and really gave Pakistan a good game.
Yeah.
We've seen them nearly do that. Will they get over the line? I don't know. I would probably have them down in terms of predictions as fighting for not being in the bottom two. But I think they could spoil the party for a good team. I think they have that in their locker. Like I see some things in there that I quite like. Max, what are your overall thoughts?
Yeah. They're not going to be a side probably that wins a game by setting, I don't know, 350, chasing something big. That's not going to
I
happen.
think it's unlikely they get 300. To be honest,
that's not going to happen. I mean, you're talking about like some of their stats. I mean, they're in terms of the runs they score, the run rates, they're worse than average at every phase of the game in ODIs. So that's not positive in terms of the batting side. But like you said, their bowling is good enough that they can put a strangle on the side. And if, like you say, they get a partnership together, it's all about basically whether they can have a game where they get the partnership together and it happens to be the right game for them. If it comes together at the right moment, if their bowlers restrict a good side because it's turning a bit or just there's just enough there and they restrict whoever they're playing, and then whether it's one of the openers who hangs around or someone in the middle order as part of the rebuilding just sticks around and they can get 270, something like that. It could happen. It could definitely happen. There'll be, well, you sort of describe it as spoiling the party. That's exactly what their wins would kind of be, wouldn't it? It's not going to be it's not going to be a gate crash so much as unplugging the stereo kind of job.
Yeah, I mean, I think one final thing I say, I think their bowling is slightly overstated as a high, its quality is slightly overstated. I think it is good. I think it's probably in the best half, but I think it's probably only just in the best half. I don't think it is all out world class. I think it's slightly more milkable than people think, and that might
in one day cricket, especially I think in T20s, where they've got Majid, for example, would be a really good example. He's really difficult to hit when you've got 5 guys back on the boundary trying to clear it. Really awkward when you're having to force the game. That's tough. In a one day, 4 guys on the boundary, much easier just to milk it in the middle overs, like you say, keep it going at just 5 and over without too much fuss. Then suddenly the lack of the wicket threat becomes more of an issue than the restriction. And like you say, with the batting issues, then they don't have the other side of it to catch up.
But that's what leads on to. So it's a slightly above average bowling attack, I think, and it's probably the second worst batting side. So how are they going to win games? It's probably got to be a sub 250 match, and then a good partnership between the two guys, Gurbaz and Zadran, who I think have probably got it in the locker. One of them's probably got to get an 80. Can that happen? Absolutely. Can it happen 6 times to put them in a position where they might threaten the playoffs?
Well, Rashid Khan has got 60 off the last 5 overs. That could happen.
That could happen too. The final thing we need to talk about, obviously, is the national animal. So the spirit animal for Afghanistan, and you're not going to believe this, Max. It's the marker goat. Another goat. We've got 2 teams, 2 goats. The marker goat
we should have
like
discussed this before we started.
Yeah, it's not a pygmy goat. It's a full-size goat. It's a tough Himalayan animal, like the cricket team. Good at climbing. Afghanistan come from the valley. Now it's quite a high point. So you got that. Also, and you'll like this, the horns are corkscrewed on the marker goat, which is a nice tribute, I think, to the international team spinners. I don't know whether they were inspired by the goat or the goat was inspired by them. We'll have to get a biologist on maybe to talk about that in more detail. But they got that. Unfortunately, though, for the goat, there are quite a few predators in the area. It's not uncommon for a lion, a tiger. I'm not sure there are any tigers in Afghanistan, so a lion, definitely. And even eagles, Pakistan, to swoop in and take one of the goats away and eat it. So that could happen. That's Afghanistan, Max. Any questions or any final thoughts from you?
No, not really. I suppose the one thing for me on Afghanistan is we've spent the last, 6 years or so quite enjoying their rise and hoping that they do well, seeing them break into the sort of the big boy table. They got test status, and it's always nice when a new team comes in, upsets the apple cart a bit. Recently, it's slightly more difficult to want that to go well with all the stuff around the women's team and the politics behind it. So I'm hoping that they're one of Netherlands' scalps. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'd probably lean that way as well. I like the team and I like a lot of the players, but in a battle of the goats, I'm supporting the Netherlands, I think.
Yeah. Here's a question. Would you rather fight one, what was it? What was the name of the goat?
Marker goat.
One marker goat or 1,000 pygmy goats?
1 marker goat, I think.
Yeah.
If an eagle can kill a goat,
then I can kill a goat.
Yeah, 1,000 is a lot though. Have you ever seen like a video of a weightlifter lifting like 1 kilo 1,000 times?
No.
By the end of it, it's so like it's even if they're stacked, it's so
Really?
so hard, the lactic acid buildup, that they can do it. But that I'm not a weightlifter, and I think the goats I would eventually just tire.
Eventually, you'd tire.
Like yeah. There we go. Insight on the Cricket Podcast. Max, we're going to take a break, and then we will come back for the last preview of this episode. New Zealand.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.